Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're talking about the ablative of comparison, which you can find in your book on page 191. Okay, so the ablative of comparison is used with a comparative, usually a comparative adjective. It can also be used with a comparative adverb, which we haven't learned about yet, but we will later. Okay, so let me give you an example sentence with an ablative of comparison. Okay, so Julia est procrior Claudia. Okay, so Claudia is obviously our ablative, and when we translate this sentence, we would say Julia is more beautiful, procrior. I mean, you could say prettier too. Is more beautiful or is prettier than Claudia. Okay, so the than Claudia is our ablative of comparison. So you would translate it with the English word than, T-H-A-N, to indicate a comparison. Okay, let's write that sentence again. So, Julia est procrior Claudia. Okay, I can write this sentence another way. I can say, Julia est procrior quam Claudia. Okay, so in my second sentence, I don't actually use the ablative of comparison. Instead, I used the adverb quam, but the translation is the same. Both of these sentences say Julia is more beautiful than Claudia. Okay, so in order to make a comparison between two things in Latin, you can use the ablative of comparison, or you can use the adverb quam. But if you use the adverb quam, then you don't put the second word into the ablative. Okay, you leave it in. Here we left it in the nominative, but it might not always be nominative. It has to be in the same case as the word with which it's being compared. So Julia is nominative, and so Cornelia is nominative. Okay, that's what case they'll usually be in, but you could have an instance where they might not be in the same, they might not be in the nominative, they could be in a different case. But if you're comparing two things using quam, then the two things being compared have to be in the same case. But it doesn't really matter if you use quam or the ablative of comparison. Okay, let's give a couple more examples of this. Okay. Let's do this sentence. Okay, so here we have an ablative of comparison. We have a comparative adjective, so when we translate this, the gladiator, non erat, was not braver or stronger than the soldier. Okay, so milite is our ablative of comparison. Right, it's in the ablative case, and it's following a comparative adjective. All right, I could, of course, rewrite this sentence using quam. I could say, gladiator non erat fortior quam, and since I use quam, now soldier has to be in the nominative because it's being compared with gladiator, so quam miles. Okay, so the two things being compared always have to be in the same case if you use quam. If not, then you can just put the second thing into the ablative of comparison. Also, it's important to know that ille and hic are often used with the ablative of comparison or in comparative clauses to mean specific things. Ille means the former, and hic means, so ille means the former, and hic means the latter. That is the latter of two people or two things. And so here's an example of that. So ille est altior quam hic. So we would say the former is taller than the latter. Right, the former being the first person, the latter being the second or later person. You could also take out the quam. If it took out quam, then we would make hic ablative. So then hic would become hoc. Right? And either way, that works just fine. I mean, literally, you could say that man is taller than this man, right? Because that's what ille means, and that's what hic means. But just know that you can, and Latin will often mean it this way, ille meaning the former, and hic meaning the latter. Okay, and thanks for tuning in, everybody, and see you again next time.